What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner and Cult Flick Symposium. More circling around, more getting to reviews and movies that I had not seen yet, that I had missed, and I might not have been in a hurry to watch. You know, some have. This one was not one I was in a hurry to watch, but I had to see it before the year was up. Come on, especially as a movie reviewer. And this one is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I really do not have much to say about this movie because this is another one kind of like what I did with Five Nights at Freddy's. It's just not my thing. The first Transformers movie I thought was solid enough. Second one was a little worse. A lot of people hated on it. It was fine. Third one I actually didn't see till recently because I kind of gave up on them because I was just like, as much as I enjoy these, I'm kind of burnt out already because it's just not my fucking thing. Watched it. That one was actually pretty good. Better than I thought it would be. And then insert Mark Wahlberg, and I was like, okay. Not that I don't like Mark Wahlberg. You know, he's hit or miss for me, but he's definitely got some fucking hits in there. I just couldn't do it anymore. And this one, you know, some fresh blood. No more Michael Bay. Could it be great? You know, I heard mixed thoughts. Like, oh man, especially following up Bumblebee. Like, I was just like, this could at least, you know, maybe get back to being like, you know, like the first couple with Shia LaBeouf, just being serviceable. Checked it out. I don't see it, guys. I can't get into it. Now, a lot of this, again, it's not really my thing, but at least, you know, with the other ones, the good or better ones in this franchise, even though they're not my thing, I did at least find a way to somewhat enjoy them or be fine with, you know, having it as a one-off watch. This movie, it just bored me. It's another one that, like, you know, there's nothing really overly wrong with it. It just is not my thing, guys. It just isn't. And I honestly don't like it. It was almost pitched as if, like, you know, like, damn, like, or maybe it was like the buildup of like the Transformers fans, not just people within the franchise, you know, or people that love the franchise, but like there was a lot of people talking that are big fans. At least it seemed like to me of the Transformer movies or of the show. They're just like, okay, well, this one, it's a lot better than the older ones, or maybe it's even better than like all of them. Like that, this is the type of shit I heard. Maybe I'm getting some bad intel. You know, I don't see that online, but the people I know that are Transformers fans talked it up. And going in with somewhat of those expectations and to walk out and just being like, okay, better than the Mark Wahlberg ones, but this, it's just, you know, it's an okay movie that I'm not too keen on. And that's the big overarching theme here. I will say it's better than the Mark Wahlberg ones, but it didn't do enough to where I'm like, okay, fuck, like made me a Transformers fan. Didn't quite do that. Is it bad though? You know, it's okay. The wokeness in the movie, it was a little dialed up in spots, but it wasn't overly as bad as what I did see some people say about that. It was kind of fun, I'll say. The setting, mixing it, you know, into the '90s, you know, giving a lot of like we have some cream in here by like Wu-Tang Clan. You know, we got, I think, was it Big Papa? I believe it was by Biggie Smalls. I think that's a song they used from him. Like they just, you know, they use that old school '90s rap soundtrack, and for me, that actually really worked. Like for some reason that livened it up a bit. I thought that was kind of cool. I'm trying to focus on the positives here. The lead and all the characters, I could do without any of them. The action, you know, it's not Bayham. At some points, I almost did miss the Bayham of it all, to be honest with you, even though Michael Bay's hit or miss for me as well. But like I did, you know, at least it like dialed up the fun. But I will say that is something I can say, even though it wasn't necessarily as fun as the first like couple Transformers movies, it did inject more fun into the franchise than the Mark Wahlberg ones. And then the ending. Let's talk about that ending. This is where I'm kind of pissed off, but in a good way. Because I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's just maybe I just don't need to see these anymore. I'm inevitably end up watching it just because, you know, new Transformers. You feel like you guys see what all the fuss is about or see if they did it right. Just because it's a big property. You end up dragging yourself to these things, even if you're not a big fan. That's what happened to me with this one. I didn't go see it initially, but I'm like, that's a fucking new Transformers movie. I gotta at least watch it, right? And then you get to hear me talk about how it's not all that, and then you can be pissed off at me. It's like, it's not even your thing. It's like, yeah, but I gotta fucking review it, I guess. But this movie's ending did sucker me in a little bit because something that is a guilty pleasure of mine happens at the end of this movie. If you've seen the movie, you know what it is. I'm not going to spoil it, but they did a little, something that was a little crossover esque at the end of this movie. So that's all I'll give you. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And it was kind of one of those things where like I was ready for it to end. Like when you have your hand on the remote. And again, this movie didn't suck, people. It was okay. I wasn't mad. I watched it. It was just kind of like almost like I'm mad at myself. Like, why don't I get into this shit? Like robots, just never my thing. So I'm watching this. I'm like, all right, let's just turn it off. I can be done with these Transformers movies for a fucking while. Again, not my thing. And they kind of hit you like, where you're sitting there, you're about to turn it off, and then they hit you with that last little bit that will reel you into the next one. And I'm about to turn it off, and I'm like, oh, motherfuckers. Like, there's something that happens at the end of this movie. And I honestly, like, don't even think, like, you might get hyped about it, because I don't, it might be another, like, if you're not a big Transformers guy, you might eye roll this too, because I don't think a lot of people get hyped for this type of thing. I'm just going to word it that way, this type of thing. But for me, it's like, okay, like, I mean, that might be interesting what they do with that. So at least for me, I might be suckered in to watch another one of these things. But in the end, it's probably going to, if you're a Transformers fan, end up me coming back around and being like, yeah, it's still not my thing. So you get to hear that all over again. And you're just like, fuck. Or who knows, man. Maybe you'll be like, yes, Brandon actually enjoyed this one. But overall, man, this was better and more fun than the Mark Wahlberg movies. But it's not better than Shia LaBeouf's ones at all. And it didn't necessarily reinvigorate any new hope into the franchise for me. It was just kind of more of the same, but a little bit more tapped into the more fun nature of the first few. Decent movie, maybe even kind of a good movie in spots, a decent popcorn movie. But for me, not my thing. Didn't get into it. Didn't overcome that barrier of me not being a big fan of the source material to begin with. But if this is your thing and you haven't seen it yet, I think, I don't think you'll be over the moon about it, but check it out if you haven't for some reason and you like Transformers, and I have no idea why you haven't watched it yet, because it is better than the last couple, but I don't know. Anyways, Transformers, Rise of the Beast gets, I'm going to give it that, I'm gonna lay it right down the middle. I'm gonna go with 5 out of 10. I almost went bad, but I have some respect for it. I just 5 out of 10. Anyways, love you guys. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I will be back with more reviews.